you got to keep them quiet.
Welcome, everybody, to Survive in Advance on the Gruely True Sports Network. I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, and just to stroke his ego, a member of the 1981, or a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley.
Michael, how you doing today?
I've been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's raining in Los Angeles. We don't see that very often out here.
It always rains in Indiana.
And I got to head down to 405 today to take my wife to some boat cruise. She's going down to Cabo San Lucas with 4 of her gambling girlfriend buddies to sit there and play penny poker all day on the boat. And I'm going to go about 20 miles. I'm going to go about 20 miles. Well, she has a credit card now. But we're going to go about 20 miles. It's going to take me the better part of 2.5 to 3 hours to drive those 20 miles. Because people in California have no clue how to drive in the rain.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
you don't care.
I just my whole morning's been ruined because I found out something from my childhood is politically incorrect, Steve.
What's that?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Because I get on Twitter and all these people are tweeting about Rudolph and how he's a bully and how...
Well, was he a bully or is it getting bullied?
He was getting bullied, but it encourages bullying for what I see. And then Sarah B. texts out that every year the elf throws the bird out of the sleigh without an umbrella, even though earlier the bird said it can't fly. Every damn year. Why do we keep letting our kids watch this?
Such carnage. Imagine in a world where we took all of the negativity that exists on social media and put it to a good practical use. How many problems do you think that people are smart enough to come up with an ideology that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, a traditional cartoon that's been on since I was a kid, from 45, 55 years ago, that thing's been on. And now all of a sudden it sponsors bullying.
Yeah.
It's a classic Christmas tale. And in the end, Rudolph guides the sleigh with all his might through the rain and through the light and leads the way. He wins in the end. Do we not get the end result here?
Well, then we got Red Soxtober who put hashtag Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, teaching kids since 1964 that your peers will only accept your differences if you can provide them with some kind of service.
Okay. Well,
wait a second. Here's another one. MJ Con, which is at MJ Con. You can see this. Oh no, it's hashtag Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't have strength to watch this again. Those poor elves. That bully with the whip. Abusive deer, dentist shaming, unloved toys. It's just way too much for me.
There are some people in the world who have some messed up childhoods. I'm going to tell you what.
I don't know if it's messed up childhoods or just they got messed up as they got older, but the politically correct thing is just beyond control anymore.
It's a classic cartoon that's been told for ages. I don't think that we should overread into Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Golly, Miss Molly.
Wait a second, because at Chicago Matt said the North Pole needs a HR department. All these bosses are horrible.
Hey, so we'll all just get generic toys for everybody.
How about this one? We got a
You'll never get a Red Ryder BB gun. Are we going to eliminate Red Ryder BB guns? Because I bought my son a Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas one year.
Well, you're not supposed to have
He didn't
guns.
shoot his eye out either. But so are we going to we're not supposed now? We're next big Twitter thing is we have to eliminate Red Ryder BB guns, Daisy Red Ryder BB guns.
Yeah, but then we got. Wait a second, we got a doctor that chimed in, so you figure a doctor would have some sense.
Oh, God, psychologist, no doubt, psychologist.
Rev Daryl, Dr. Daryl L. Williams. Has anyone else noticed that within the first 5 minutes of hashtag the Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, 2 characters get bullied?
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So I just figured I'd bring that up. I thought it was pretty laughable, disgusting, and disturbing all at the same time. But the other thing that has been laughable, disgusting, and disturbing at times is Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Tonight, they go challenge the New Orleans Saints. The Saints come to Dallas. Is this a game that will be a game, Steve, or do you think this is a game where the Saints just run away with it?
I think Saints run away with it.
Now, it is a regular season game, and we've seen teams like the Bills go in and beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make a case for the Cowboys.
I just think right now that New Orleans is a different football team. I think that they're on a mission. They got a coach who wants to pummel people and play. I don't see him pulling a Tony Dungy here and being 13-0 and pulling your starters and throwing away an undefeated season. Okay. I don't see that happening with Sean Payton. That still irks me more than anything.
Well, the thing they
when
do
Dungy
have
did that
is they've got Ezekiel Elliott, they've got Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott's a solid quarterback. I think the biggest difference here is I don't think the Cowboys' offensive line is what it used to be. I think guys like Sheldon Rankins are going to be all over Dak Prescott when he's trying to throw the ball. I think they'll have success running, but without success throwing the ball also, I don't see him winning this game. I do think the Cowboys can be more competitive, and when you look at that, I think this, in the long run, if the Cowboys come out and they lose this game 27-17, I think it is a positive for them. If they come out and they get beat by 17 points, 20 points, then I think we know what they are, which is maybe they win the NFC East, but they're not going to have a chance when it goes to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to make a bold prediction here, which is what all of us idiots do who get on the radio and think we know everything in the world is about sports because we're not in the locker room, we're not in the coaches' locker rooms, we're not in the huddle, we're not anywhere. We're just sitting out here on a radio, shooting our mouth off, pouring opinions about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm going to say this. I think this is the beginning of the start of the demise of Jason Garrett. I think New Orleans comes out, wins this game big, and Jerry Jones goes bananas. Because right now, Jerry Jones is sitting in his office counting oil barrels and thinking he's going to win the Super Bowl.
I don't think he thinks that. If he thinks that, he's not a very bright man, which he may not be.
Well, haven't we already made that determination?
Yeah, and I think the problem is here is this. The Saints have a really good offensive line. The Cowboys...
And Jerry Jones is a bright man. He's a billionaire. He's a bright man.
Wait a second, though. There's a difference between book smart and street smart. And I would say running his company is, to me, book smart. Running a football team is more street smart. And I think he falls well short when it comes to the street smart spot. And we've seen that because he hasn't sniffed a Super Bowl since 1996. And, 1995, he made the mistake of letting go Jimmy Johnson, 93, whatever it was. So I think he's book smart. I think the Saints win this game 40-23. And I think they established that the Cowboys are not in the league that the Saints are.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the $10 question with Jerry Jones. Does he run his business like he runs the Cowboys?
Where he controls everything? My guess is he probably couldn't. I mean, as big as that oil business is, if you know what I mean.
But this is the Dallas Cowboys. This is America's team.
It's not America's
team. This is the most valued sports franchise in all sports franchises in the world.
It's not America's team. And I'm going to throw this in. Lucas Weiss is listening because he sent a message saying Merry Christmas. In Canada...
Merry Christmas, Lucas.
In Canada, Lucas, my question is this. Who is Canada's team? Because I think it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Oh, what's the Montreal team?
They're not. They're not Canada's team.
Alouettes?
Hell, they're not even Montreal's team. Like 6,000 people show up to every game, and they've sucked for the last 3 years.
What is the Montreal team? Are they the Alouettes still?
Yeah, they're the Alouettes.
There you go. That's Canada's team.
Can you name another Canadian team?
Who's the Rough Riders? The Calgary Rough Riders?
The Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Saskatchewan Roughriders. Okay, Calgary is the Stampede. Is that
Stampeders.
the hockey team?
The Stampeders, and they just won the Grey Cup. They beat the Ottawa
There you
Red
go.
Blacks.
See, I'm not totally idiot north of the border.
Actually, you kind of are. But
I know Pierre Trudeau's.
Dude, you're still the guy that thought the Iditarod was run in Canada.
Well, it might as well be. It's cold in both places. What the hell? It's still snow and ice and polar bears and, nasty stuff.
Good point. All right, so let's transition a little bit. We'll talk about something that you might know something about because,
I don't know anything about anything.
All right, I know. I mean, but until we can get enough money to get Tia on board, we're just going to have to settle for you. I'm hoping she wins a lot of money, and then maybe we won't have to pay her so much, and then we can get her on. Let's look college basketball-wise. Who do you think?
No, you know what she's afraid of? Honest to God, you know what she's afraid of? She keeps hearing Trump's closing the border. She thinks she's going to be stuck in Mexico, and they're not going to let her back in the country.
So could we say
they're going to let you back in because
could
I
we
need
say
my laundry
that?
done.
Could we say that what she's afraid of is what you're hoping for?
No.
I'm just
checking. She pulls her weight around here, man.
I'm trying to get you in trouble.
Function without
Dude,
my
I
wife.
know she pulls her weight around there.
Are you kidding me?
She probably has to pull more than her weight. She has to probably have to
Hell
pull your
yeah.
ass too.
No, it's not. I do my own laundry, people. So don't go there. I don't let anybody touch my laundry.
Why is that?
I like extra fabric softener.
Why is that? Do you have some lingerie in there you'd be ashamed of?
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Okay. All right, let's talk college basketball.
All right, let's do.
Who do you?
What was the final tally on the ACC Big Ten Challenge? It was last I heard
no clue.
after Purdue gave away a game to Florida State last night.
Hey, you know what I thought? I thought maybe Purdue thinks this is the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly my thought. I said, there's Matt Painter getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Got a big lead, got a great team going in, got a lead going in the last end of the game, and then finds a way to give it away. He did it eloquently last night. I watched that game because we have relatives that are Purdue graduates or Purdue fans, and nothing like watching them squirm as much as we squirmed the night before with Indiana and Duke.
I
and
really
they hit me
don't
up
think...
for tickets to Indiana Duke, too.
I
They were
don't
like
think...
saying, we can't get tickets to Indiana Duke. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I'm not Steve Alford, neither can I.
Steve Alford could get tickets to Indiana and Duke?
I'm sure he probably could.
Even though he sucks so bad as a coach?
I'm not going to go there. He's a friend of mine. Be careful. Be careful.
Lucas wants you to sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to end the show. So
call Lucas and get him on the show. Call Lucas and bring him on. Just tell him to get on the show.
I mean, I could call Lucas. All you got to do is text me his phone number, and I'll call him. And we'll
Lucas,
right
give
on
us your
show.
phone number. We'll bring you on real quick. Come on. If you're listening to it, you got nothing else better going on.
Do they have phones in Canada?
All
right.
They do.
All right. I can tell you this,
on.
Steve. When we look at this, I think the Big Ten more than held their own in this. I don't even know what the final tally was. But
no, I'm impressed we broke even with them, yeah.
Yeah.
It was even. I think it's finished even.
I'll
it was
tell
8-8. After the Purdue game was 8-8. I don't know where it ended up.
Shut up so I can talk at some point. Every time I go to talk, you got to say something else. Jeez.
Sorry.
I'll just be quiet. You can just talk for the next 45 minutes.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
The team that has impressed me the most this year so far is a Big Ten team. I haven't seen a team as good as the Michigan Wolverines. And the reason I say that is defensively they're very good. They got very good guard play. Charles Matthews, Jordan Poole. Underneath, you got the kid whose name I can't pronounce. When you look at this, I think right now Michigan's as good as anybody. And I know there's a lot of talk about Duke, but when you look at the Big Ten, I think this is a year where the Big Ten could get 7 or 8 teams in the Big Dance the way they used to.
Okay.
You can talk. I was just messing with you before.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this.
I mean, yeah.
What was your take on Duke the other night?
What was my take on Duke? Undisciplined, raw talent. Somebody's got to make them play. Got to not let them play their own game every game. If you let Duke play the way they want to play, they're going to kill you. If you can take Duke out of their game and slow them down, these guys are inexperienced. They're young. They want to go. They want to showboat. They want to play. They're great players. They can get away with everything. Zion Williamson is a beast. The rest of a couple other guys on the team are beasts. But I think if you can, what Gonzaga did was they made them play Gonzaga's game, and look, they beat them. But unfortunately, not a lot of teams are going to have a lot of talent to be able to do that with them this year. I don't think anybody in the ACC is.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the team
Virginia's going to match up to them.
The team in the ACC that interests me to play them is Syracuse. And they beat Ohio State at Ohio State by 10 the other night. But Syracuse has got the zone defense. And Jim Boeheim's team runs it better than anybody. They barely snuck into the tournament last year. And then they end up making a run to the Sweet 16 because of that defense. So I'm interested to see how Duke, or if Duke can have success against that defense. Because I think a team that packs it in, plays zone, makes Duke shoot the ball from outside to beat them,
right.
I think it's the team
Nobody's
that can
doing
beat
that.
Duke. No. Even Gonzaga didn't really play it that way. Gonzaga
right.
just is an experienced veteran team that's really good. And when it comes down to it, I think that's why they won the game. I think they were used to playing games at that level where the Duke kids are just now becoming that way. And when we look at a team like Indiana, I think that was just a young team that was thrown in the deep end of the pool, and they drowned.
Yeah.
And we got a message from SportsFan777 who put up Go Hoosiers. So we could agree with that. I just wanted to bring it up. I wanted to recognize one of the people listening.
Yeah. Thank you. And we'll talk about the Hoosiers a little bit here. You know, I know we have a dedicated show to them, but we can talk about them on this show a little bit too.
Well, we're going to talk a little Bob Knight here in a little bit.
I know. Let's shoot that dead horse one more time.
Yeah, but see, the thing is
we haven't done that enough times in the last 19 years. Now, let's shoot it again.
SportsFan777 says Cowboys over Saints.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it could happen. I mean, Dallas has got everything to play for. I just don't think that New Orleans is going to lay down and roll over. But we're getting off track again. We already talked about that. We made our predictions.
So
we're going to live with it or die with it one way or another.
So when we look at it, of course, I'll tell you the team that looks improved to me is, I mean, I just totally forgot what I was saying because SportsFan777 sent a message asking Knight or Wooden. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here because he says Wooden, I say Knight. What do you say, Steve?
What's the question, Knight or Wooden?
Knight or Wooden.
Well, I've only met John Wooden after he was pretty well close to old.
We're not talking about that. I mean, John Wooden was old when you were born, Steve.
Well, here's what I know. Okay, in answering this 4-7, here's what I know. All accounts suggest that basically all of Wooden's teams were pretty well bought.
Yes.
Not by his doing.
Yeah.
By the card. Yeah. By the alumni of UCLA, that those players were all brought out here before the NCAA really understood cheating scandals and everything like that. And John Wooden, you know, more than one time vehemently said, you know, there's all kinds of record out there that he's like, I don't want to know about it. I'm only worried about these kids inside the courts.
Yeah, later on in his life, he admitted that he knew that it was happening.
Right. So,
and that was Sam Gilbert was the guy there.
Sam Gilbert, and the whole cronies out here, and you know the money flows out here in California like it's water. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, to sit in the front row of a Lakers game is almost a $10,000 seat now. If you want to go to a Lakers game and sit on the front courtside seat, it's about $10,000 a seat at this point in time to get one ticket. And people, you know, have season tickets, 4 of them. Where the hell do you get that kind of money? Anyway, so for Wooden to sit there and sure, he accomplished a lot. He's got 11 national championships at UCLA, but to me, they're at least in a legendary way tainted because of the fact that how many of those players were brought here under rules and regulations that would not be upheld by the NCAA at this point in time. So I have to discount that just a little bit there, that he was buying and building great teams. UCLA was. I don't think John Wooden.
Yeah, but if you know what's going on, that's on you. And
right,
the thing that got me was in 1981, the LA Times quoted Brent Clark, who was an NCAA field investigator, who said that in 1977, while he had been in LA for a month, he was told to drop the case. He said, I could have put everything John Wooden did on indefinite suspension. He said, but an NCAA spokesman told me to let it go.
Yeah, so. Well, and that's the classic matchup in the movie Blue Chips. I mean, it's a loosely fictitious documentation of the matchup of Bob Knight and John Wooden. I mean, you look at the colors of the uniforms. I mean, UCLA or Western University wears the same colors as UCLA.
Yeah.
And they get into the same boat where the coach, like Nick Nolte as a coach, doesn't want to know what's going on, doesn't want to buy into it, and they got the alumni happy, whatever his name was. And, he's like, just let me handle it. Friends of the program, they were called in the movie. And then you got him playing Bob Knight, the antithesis of cheating. So I'll tell you this, in my day, and I've known Bob Knight since 1975, probably when he first started recruiting me. And I do not think that there was a cheating bone in that man's body. There are a lot of flaws to Bob Knight, and that's fine. And we can debate those, and we will before the show's over, I understand. And they will rehash it all again tonight on ESPN. But cheating was not one of those bones. Nowhere in his body was there a cheating bone. We went to class. We had to get our own classes. There was no plantation education going on there. We had to make our own grades. We had access to tutors. We had, if we wanted to use them, if grades were below 2.0, you were at a study table. You were not partying with your friends. You were at a study table all weekend if you had to be. But you were earning your grades, and you were earning everything you did at Indiana University to have the privilege of playing basketball there. I never got a penny. I don't know that any player at Indiana ever got a penny. Now, there are restaurants out there that would say, hey, don't worry about, picking up. And, of course, when you're a college kid with no income, you're going to walk away from the Denny's with a free grand slam breakfast. Sure. But that goes on in any facet of any life. But aside from that, there was no alumni involvement into Indiana basketball in the years that Bob Knight coached it. No cars. I mean, I drove a 68 Torino GT with optional dents and rust. That was my car that I drove through college. And it finally broke down after I got out of college.
So let me ask
UCLA,
you this.
So to sit there and compare Knight to Wooden, sure, Wooden's got 11 championships, Knight's got 3. But how many of Wooden's 11 championships were bought? How great a coach was Wooden if he had to go with the material that Knight had to go find and get on his own? I never got recruited by an alumni. I got recruited by Knight. I don't think I ever talked to an alumni. I talked to more alumni from Purdue.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve, real quick. This is something that I think our listeners would like to know. You were heavily recruited by multiple colleges, including the North Carolinas, Kentuckys of the world. Indiana
Sure.
State, I don't think, recruited you because you weren't quite that good of a player. But but let me ask you this. You just said Knight never offered anything, made you do what you were supposed to do. With not naming names, you can name names if you want, but without naming names, how many schools, percentage-wise, would you say that you talked to or visited, offered you something or insinuated something that you would get?
At the time I was playing, you were allowed to take 6 recruiting trips. I took 6 recruiting trips. 5 of the schools I went to offered me something. Indiana did not.
Now let me ask you
5 of those schools I visited went to.
Would you?
I'm not going to name them because it's not relevant.
You don't have to name it, but you were.
I'm not going to but 5 of the 6 schools
I got a question. Chill out. We got
all
it.
Right.
5 out of 6. My question is this. You were offered stuff, and I'm sure it was stuff that as a teenager you would have loved to have accepted, but yet you went to the University of Indiana. My question is this.
No,
why
I didn't.
would you didn't
I didn't go to
Indiana?
University of Indiana.
Oh, you didn't go to Indiana? Okay.
I went to Indiana University.
Whatever.
There's a difference there.
It's the University of Indiana because I went to Indiana
That's
State.
in Pennsylvania.
Played the national
That's in
championship
Pennsylvania.
in 1979. All right, so quit being a smartass, which is what you're best at. Tia told me that too, so she backed me up on it. But when you look at it, what made you turn down all those offers? And what made you turn down those offers to go play for Bobby Knight, to go play for a man that you knew was going to make you do what you were supposed to do and not just allow you to run rampant and have your way? because most 18-year-old kids, if they're being offered a car or a job or their parents a job, they're going to take that because they only see the short-sighted picture. What made you decide to go with the man that would, basically, in the end, make you a better person?
Okay, two parts to that. One, that's where my girlfriend was going to college, so I was going to follow her because I was in love. So that's one of the reasons that she was going to IU anyway, whether I went somewhere else or not. So that factored in to some degree, which I didn't end up marrying her, although I've been married 34 years, so I'm doing fine. Secondly was, at that point in time, in 1977, when I was recruited, Indiana was the place to play basketball. And for me, a guy like me who just loved to play, he just loved the game, I wanted to go where the best place was to play basketball. And I wanted to associate myself with the best program that I possibly could. And, it didn't even enter my mind about winning a national championship, truthfully. It didn't really factor in a lot into the process. It just was, Indiana was the best college basketball program in the world right then. And I thought, if I have an opportunity to go play for the best, and that's where I want to be. And that was it. And because all the other 5 schools I went to were quality schools to visit, including a lot you have mentioned, but they just weren't on top of the game as Indiana was at that point in time. And it was close to home. My parents could come and watch games. It was only 60 miles south of Indianapolis. And, family was there. My girlfriend was going to be there. So it was a confluence of things. And you were playing for your own state. It meant something back then. I don't know that it means anything anymore, as much as it did. Now people go where they think they're going to make the best money, and I get that. There's a lot of money in the game. There was when I played. But Indiana was just the place to go play college basketball. And Bob Knight was the coach to go play for. And, he didn't scare me until I got there. Then he scared the crap out of me. But I didn't know that. It's not my third day into practice. Yeah. Then I got scared. What am I doing here? I could have went to UCLA. So it was just a thing that they were the best. Indiana was the best at that period when I made that choice. And I wanted to play for the best. Be part of that team. So, and it panned out. I walked away from the game. How many kids get to walk away from college basketball saying the last game they ever played in college basketball they won? Nobody that plays, only one team that plays in the tournament gets to say that.
Yeah.
How many guys really think about all the kids that graduate every year? How many say they won the last game of basketball that they ever played in college? I put that high on my list of achievements, of things that I left college basketball as a winner, on a winning note, winning the last game I ever played it. That's important to me. It's different for everybody else.
Unfortunately, it's different for everybody else. So
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Indiana plays Duke the other night, and the thing that made me the most uncomfortable was the fact that every 3 minutes you had a Knight 30 for 30. I think it's obvious because I've seen people ask, why was Duke playing Indiana on this game and not playing in Michigan or in Michigan State? And I think it's obvious.
Yeah, that's a good question.
They used Indiana, to me, ESPN used Indiana
to promote the show.
To promote the Knight 30
Sure.
for 30. And that is the
Exactly.
only thing they did because ESPN is only interested in the agenda that they want to push. And their agenda is a joke. It always has been, and it's gotten worse, and it's gotten worse. And my thing is this. I've talked, and a guy, almost every former IU player now, especially in the 90s, has written a book about Bob Knight. And you get guys, you weren't in the 90s, Steve. You were in the pre-modern era. So you would have to chisel yours in hieroglyphics on a cave wall.
Yeah, and that's why Kyle Guy's a leading scorer at Lawrence Central High School. He's the modern era leading scorer.
Lucas Weiss just put that there should be a Steve Risley 30 for 30, but the problem with that is it's probably turned into a Kyle Guy 30 for 30 now since he's a leading scorer in Lawrence Central history.
Leave Kyle Guy alone. He's probably a very nice kid. I have no issue with Kyle Guy.
You're always hating on him, but that's all right.
I'm not hating on him.
Okay. I don't know about that. We'll have to get Colin Hartman on here and ask him what he thinks because we know. But when you look at this and you see that and you know what Knight was like when you were there, You know the impact he had on his life. You saw the impact he had on others' lives. You know, we're never going to see a 30 for 30 that shows the good things that Bobby Knight did. And when you see this, and you know, Bobby Knight probably sitting somewhere watching a basketball game, and he's got to repeatedly see this. What goes through your mind when you see this, where they're basically trying to break down a man that had such a positive influence on your life?
Okay, so what's your real question?
I mean, what are your feelings for Knight? I mean, because
the
way this is pushed is...
My feelings for Knight, okay, first off, I understand, like there's players out there, like I'll throw out Todd Jadlow right now. He's got a book out there, you know, Todd Jadlow on the rebound. I've talked to Todd several times. Todd's a great guy. I mean, he's gone through some very difficult times in his life, and he's righting his ship, and he's done a fabulous job, and he goes out now and tries to help other people right their ship. But, you know, there are people out there that just don't, that have different experiences, and everything's about how you manifest the experience that you have playing for a guy like Bob Knight, because he's very up there. He's very edgy and very on one side. You're either in his camp or you're not in his camp. Now, here's the thing. When I was first time I ever stepped in Assembly Hall, I went down there, I drove myself down, and met Kent Benson in the parking lot at Assembly Hall, and got his Chrysler Imperial. And we drove around campus. He showed me campus, and he took me to Assembly Hall. I said, okay, we're going to go meet Coach. And other than meeting Coach in situations where I signed my letter of intent with him, and I'd seen him at the gym, at the high school games, I'd never really even talked to Coach Knight. And I was taking my official visit down there, and we went down, and he said, look, I'm going to tell you one thing about Bob Knight. Here's the deal, and this is what's going to save you or kill you. Don't listen to how he says things. Listen to what he says. And Kent Benson told me this, and bless Kent Benson's heart. If you get hung up on how he says things, you will fail here, and you will hate this guy. If you sit there and filter that out of your mind and listen to what he's saying, he will educate you like no teacher will ever educate you. And because he's passionate about education, he's passionate about his people, he's passionate about success with integrity, he's passionate about integrity. And so I took that, and I didn't really understand what he was saying until, like I said, about my third or fourth day in practice, and I finally got my butt chewed royally. And I'm like, okay, he's saying that pretty negatively. I've never been talked to like that as a basketball player. But then it clicked in. Remember what Kent said. I went in the locker room kind of feeling down on myself, and like Kent said, don't listen to how he said what he said. Did you hear what he said? And I didn't hear what he said because I was too wrapped up about how he said it to me. And I fought like heck to get over that. So that changed my experiences immediately about Bob Knight from what, like, say, a Todd Jadlow experience would be. Because I don't know that Todd, I've never talked to Todd about this, and I don't want to pick on Todd, but Todd probably is a guy who never could get over how Knight was talking about things. And most of the people that have negative things to say about Knight generally are people that could not get past how he was disseminating information. And I think that's the difference between those that are Knight detractors and those that are Knight supporters. The message is always there. His antics haven't changed. I mean, people say he's different in the 2000s than he was in the 70s. No, he's not. He was probably harder in the 70s than he was in the 2000s because he was getting away with more. I mean, I guarantee you we had it rougher than these kids in the 2000s did. You know, there just became more social media and more news outlets available to listen to people whine and bitch and cry about things. Now, is Knight a perfect guy? Hell no.
Nobody
but,
is.
But, you know, I've heard stories about Dean Smith, about Krzyzewski, and even about Wooden, about guys, the players that have all played from. We all kind of get together and we start telling stories, and we all tell the same stories. It's like, yeah, that happened to me in practice too. But Smith did the same thing.
Yeah, but the difference was this. Dean Smith and Mike
Knight did it on the court.
Turn it off when the TV cameras
They turned it
come
off,
on.
right. Wooden turned it off. Smith turned it off. Krzyzewski turns it off. Knight never turned it off. So Knight becomes the lightning rod for which to go attack. And we're going to show this show tonight. And first off, they're going to show it free now because they couldn't sell it. Because it's like, how many times are we going to shoot and beat a dead horse? Really? I mean, this is not new news. This is nothing new. Yeah, ESPN is. I just got onto ESPN's website just to check on the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and the front blurb page is the night thing. I'm 30 for 30.
Yeah.
I mean, this is news that happened in 2000. 18 years old. There's nothing more relevant for 30 for 30 to do a series on than in the last 18 years. Really? But we're remaking Roseanne. We're remaking Magnum P.I. We're remaking every movie. We've got Ghostbusters 7 now with everybody. I mean,
yeah,
nobody
but you know
has
what?
any
When you look at it, they remake these things, but they remake them politically correct. You know, you bring back Roseanne, but
well, yeah, and guess what?
But then they take her away because she makes a comment. And the problem is this: when you look back at the previous 60 years of Roseanne's life, there's nothing showing she was a racist. And basically, she got drunk. She said something stupid. And I just think that it's really sad that we live in a society where you can make a mistake and have your entire world taken away from you because of that mistake, and that you have to watch what you say. You know, if somebody's a racist, I would rather know it. So don't scare them from saying it out loud, because I want to know who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into political conversations. I mean, I'm not equipped to deal with that kind of stuff. I mean, I have my own opinions, and I leave them at that. But in terms of this thing going on tonight with Bob Knight again, you have to understand what I learned a long time ago, that there are three sides to every story. There is the left side, there is the right side, and somewhere in the middle is going to lie the truth. ESPN tonight is going to present the right side. I'm going to get on today and present the left side. And then I become a Knight worshiper, or one of those players who, you know, the worships or follows or bleeds Bobby Knight blue or Bobby Knight red or whatever. It's not the case. I weighed the good and the bad, and there was bad. There's no doubt there was bad, but I tried to rationalize everything into, okay, what's the big picture here? And not looking at the moment, but looking at the hour. And say, okay, in the long run, what is this going to benefit me? And the players that did that are the players that stayed. And never come out. And, you know, it's not that we couldn't sit here and write a book about the negativity of practice at IU basketball and the negative reinforcement. And negative reinforcement's a better word. You know, it's not negativity. It's a negative reinforcement. The way his coaching style is what it was all about. And if you can adapt to that and handle that, you were going to be successful at Indiana University. Like I said, I never really went there it's everybody's dream to win a national championship, but I can't say that it was like, okay, if I go here, I'm going to win a national championship. We lucked into one.
You knew you had a chance.
We got Isaiah Thomas. We got one of the greatest college basketball, one of the great pro players of all time to come to our program. We had a solid core around him. We had a brilliant bench coach, and, you know, everything fell in line, and it worked. And that's generally how these championships are won. You get that player, that special player that can lead a team, which is what Indiana's lacking right now, is that special player to lead, which is what they're going to have to find if they're going to get it to the next level. And you get that confluence of everything falling into place at the same time, and it works. So does the ends justify the means? To me, it does. I'm no worse for wear from it. I don't have nightmares. I don't wake up every night wondering if Knight's going to be over my head, throwing a chair at me or anything like that. It's a great experience. It's a learning experience. It's a great experience. Now, I never saw him choke a player. I never saw him physically attack a player. I mean, you know, he'd get in our face and he'd bump us and things like that.
Let's just put it in one simple answer here. Did you ever feel physically threatened?
No. Never felt – no, but I'm bigger than him. I was bigger than him. So, of course, I didn't feel physically threatened. But that's not the point.
Kicked your ass, Steve. He was a lot tougher to do, I think. I don't know.
Well, you know, his big saying was, I'd like to lock me and you in a room. I'd take you in a room and lock us in a room together and one of us is coming out alive. That was his big saying.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I want to take you and me and lock us in a room together right now. No, only one of us is going to come out alive.
Well,
I'm like,
what the hell?
Okay.
Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out here to SportsFan777. He says, please read this. Would be an honor to get a shout-out. Here it is, SportsFan777. He says he will follow you. He will follow us on Twitter. The Grueling Truth is the real deal. I've been listening for a few minutes, instantly hooked to Mike Goodpaster, even though he spelled my name wrong, and Steve Risley. Good on you with Survive in Advance. It's candid, it's funny, and a great place to get sports knowledge. ESPN, CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports. Get these guys on your programs much better than the people you have on there. We want to thank SportsFan777. Lucas Weiss, of course, always interjects his thoughts, even though he refuses to come on anymore because he's intimidated by Steve Risley.
He's getting paid. He's got non-disclosure
he's
agreement.
intimidated by Steve Risley, I think, in that championship ring. But Lucas Weiss had a good idea, and that good idea is we need to get big enough so we could get Steve Risley on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, my God. No, I'd do that. I'd go try it. Because you know what? That puts you so far out of your comfort zone, I would piss my pants like no tomorrow.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. Hey, this is the thing. You're getting so old now, you might as well start practicing because it's going to start happening pretty soon anyway.
Yeah, we was a studio actually about 5 miles from my house. One of the studios they practice in is about 5 miles from my house. I can just hop over there real quick, ride my bike over there. Anyway, no.
You ride bikes?
It's Sports 777. Here's the deal, Sports 777, if you're still listening. This is why we would never work. ESPN, CBS, they would never allow us to talk like we're talking right now. I would never go there. I mean, they would pay me big jack, but then I just would be a Stephen A. Smith.
They want to control.
The clown entertainer.
They want to control the narrative.
The clown entertainer for ESPN.
Yeah.
He's just a clown. He's a clown entertainer. He just spouts off, saying crap just because it gets ratings. People listen to him, but I can't even believe that Stephen Smith believes half the things he spits out.
Because he doesn't.
I don't say anything I don't believe. And, basically, if it looks like crap and smells like crap, I'm going to tell you it's probably crap. And right now, the ESPN 30 for 30 is probably crap.
I saw it. And
what it is somebody with a burr up their ass. And I read the story of how this whole thing came about, that the actual guy that did it didn't want to do the whole series. He didn't want to do the show. But a guy from CNN who was his producer, I read through it, skimmed through it, how this 30 for 30 even came about. That the guy that's actually involved in doing it really didn't even want to do it because he said, well, this is old material. This is nothing new. But then somebody sent somebody a copy of the tape of Reed choking or Knight choking Reed, and then they were bound and honored to go because CNN, of course, wants to dig up and dredge up everything they possibly can. And somebody turned this tape over to them, and then they make a whole series about just this tape. They weren't going to do the show until they found the tape. Somebody sent CNN the tape, and that's how this show even came about. It wasn't going to happen.
He wouldn't have got fired without the tape. Once you had the tape,
they wouldn't have got fired without the tape, right?
So it had to be somebody inside of the Indiana University athletic department that sent the tape out.
Here's Steve Risley's problem with the era of Bob Knight. You don't let a dog drink out of your toilet for 29 years and then put the lid down. The dog doesn't get it. Okay? If you wanted Bob Knight to conform, you started that crap in 1971 and conformed him then. But you don't let him run free reign over a program and be as successful as he's been, as beloved as he is, as whatever, and then all of a sudden put the lid down on the toilet to him. Bob Knight's not going to get that. And that's what this is all about. They put the lid down on him because mostly he wasn't winning anymore to the level of which he was winning in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He wasn't doing any different antics. I've known the man since 75. He wasn't doing any different antics the whole time through. Like I said, I think he was probably tougher in the 70s and 80s before he started getting really scrutinized. Then I think he probably did start, trying to temper it a little bit or be a little more cautious about what he's doing and understand that there's people out there watching. But you don't sit there and let a guy like Bob Knight rule the way he ruled, and then all of a sudden just put the lid down and say we're going from total acceptance to zero tolerance.
Yeah,
and that way he was trapped. At that point he was doomed. He was doomed to fail because Knight at that point was not going to be a man who was going to compromise, and that's why he's a champion. That's why he has integrity. He can have integrity because he won't compromise. See, I mean, in my opinion, John Wooden compromised. John Wooden didn't have integrity because he compromised and knew what was going on and did nothing about it, let it go on, and won chances with it. Knight wouldn't do that. Knight said, "Oh, I have integrity. I'm not going to compromise. This is me. Take me or leave me." And they chose to leave him, and he left. And they finally found something they could get rid of him on because they knew damn good and well they just couldn't get rid of him because he was beloved. He was still a great coach. He went to Texas Tech and proved that. Put that sorry program back in the tournament in a matter of years.
Yeah, had him in the Sweet 16.
And in the Sweet 16. I mean,
and
tell me,
lost at the buzzer, or they're headed for a possible Final Four.
Right, with a methodology that was extinct. I mean, he was still coaching like he coached us in the 70s.
Yeah, and
he was proving that motion offense
either.
and man-to-man defense still work. And I'm saying today, if I started coaching college basketball today, I would play motion offense and man-to-man defense, and I'd kick the crap out of 90% of the teams I'll play, except Duke, who's just got so much dadgum talent. You probably can't do anything. But that's how you beat
Sports
Duke.
Fan 777, I would say this. We don't want to be on ESPN because we want to have the freedom to say what we believe, not to make stuff up to get people to listen to us. And our hope is that people like you, every day we find a few more people like you, and those people that know about us start telling their friends. They start retweeting us. They start sending people to our Facebook group page. And this builds and becomes something that could someday possibly, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to rival ESPN, but it's an alternative for people that want real sports news, that don't want the stuff that goes on at ESPN with the Stephen A. Smith contriving stuff, or at where is he now, Fox Sports News or whatever he's at with who was the dude that used to be on with him?
Dan Patrick?
No, the other idiot, Skip Bayless. Or,
Skip Bayless,
Shannon Sharp, smacking his gums and talking,
I mean, here's the deal, Mike. We'd love to have some sponsors to break even, but I'm not doing this to find sponsors. I mean, we don't get paid. People out there, we don't get paid to do this. We get up every morning to do this. We're paying our own fees to be on the internet. We're not getting it. We don't have a single sponsor sponsoring our site.
Well, we do.
We have over a million.
We have one or two. But
one or two, okay.
The point is this. We have 1 million. This month, we're going to have 1.8 million unique listeners on this side.
And for those of you who don't know what unique is, that's new listeners, brand new listeners who've never been to the show before.
That's new listeners every month. We are up to 35 million hits on the website every month. And the thing is this. We could go out and work for other places and get paid, but it's not going to be much. But in
Lucas,
the end,
please.
Yeah.
Lucas?
And Lucas just put, I get paid. But Lucas makes like $9.95 a day or whatever if he makes
He's worth
much.
More. Lucas is worth more than that.
Yeah.
I love Lucas.
And, I mean, the thing is this. When you go out there and you sell your soul for a little bit of money, you end up regretting it because in the end, the place where you don't have to sell your soul is where eventually you will really get paid. And that's not a shot at Lucas. That is a shot. And I think I can tell you this. I'm really proud of Lucas. I mean, he's working for a huge entity in Canada. And, we had a girl by the name of Ashton who's working. We've got, a boxing writer that ended up taking a job with Sports Illustrated. That's what I want to see because that just gives us more validity that guys like Lucas work here. Or guys like Chris Henderson, who's a boxing guy who ended up working for Sports Illustrated, that they're here. And the fact is this. In the end, Lucas, 5 to 10 years from now, the goal is we'll just give you a call and say, hey, what are they paying you? You'll tell us. We'll give you more than that, and you'll be back with us. We'll never let you back on this show ever again, though, because you won't come sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with us at the end of the show.
Wow. No,
I mean, it was his idea, and he won't sing. I mean, it was pretty simple. You don't have to come on the show. You just come on the show and you sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Steve Risley.
He's got non-disclosure agreements. He can't do it anymore. He's part of that ESPN
can sing
clan.
Rudolph. You can sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It doesn't matter. It's Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer.
We'd have to pay a fee. We'd have to pay some kind of fee to a sports network and to whoever did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, whoever that is. It's like,
no, we actually Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is old enough we can sing it without getting in trouble.
I don't know. So in the end, the Bob Knight thing, people, if you're going to watch it tonight, watch it. But just and a lot of what you're going to hear is true. The way they're going to – and I've not seen the special. I refuse to pay the $9.95 to watch it. I don't need to watch it. I know exactly what's going to be on. I'll watch it tonight for free just to validate what I'm thinking. But I can tell you almost sentence for sentence what is going to be done here. And it's just another attempt for somebody to make a buck off of something that happened 30, 40, 20 years ago. And it's not new news. It's nothing spectacular. Why ESPN chooses to feel they've got to dig this up one more time, and that's a great question, Mike. Why is Indiana playing Duke back-to-back? Isn't the ACC Big Ten Challenge for teams to play other teams in the different – why are we playing the same team 2 years in a row?
Because I don't remember
doing it now because they want to promote this show.
It came out in March or April. But what would be interesting is to watch a videotape of that game from last year to see if they were given like a teaser for the ESPN Plus version of it a few months later.
Oh, I bet they were.
But, hey, real quick, we have an important question from Lucas Weiss who wants to know what your favorite Christmas carol is.
My favorite Christmas carol?
I told him mine was Carol Burnett. What's yours?
Oh, mine is Let It Be Christmas, Alan Jackson, bar none.
Let It Be Christmas by Alan Jackson?
Oh, God, if you don't like Alan Jackson, you're not American.
I don't think I've ever heard that song. I mean, I went down yonder on the Chattahoochee once.
No. Go get Let It Be Christmas by Alan Jackson.
Okay.
It will melt your heart.
I actually don't like Christmas carols that much.
I
mean, sure, a lot of times me and my buddies will get drunk here at the trailer park and we'll go outside and sing around a can with a fire in it, some Christmas songs. But that's about as far as it goes for me with the Christmas caroling.
Let It Be Christmas by Alan Jackson. Not even close.
I'm looking it up right now. Now, here's my question. Yeah. We're going to transition and talk a little Baker Mayfield.
We're actually getting back to sports?
Yeah. We were at sports before because Rudolph was an athlete. I mean, you can't lead a freaking deer. It's kind of like the Iditarod, which Lucas knows all about because he's the foremost historian.
Mike, you're going into dangerous territory here because you start calling Rudolph an athlete, you're going to start calling NASCAR drivers athletes.
No, I'm not, because you know what? Rudolph actually does something that's athletical. You know, if you sit in a car and you turn left.
Athletical?
Yeah, athletical is when I got my first coaching job. I was a defensive coordinator with the Northern Kentucky River Monsters and an arena football team. And we had a head coach, and this dude was nuts anyways. He was like 6'6". He weighed like 300 pounds. He used to tell everybody he played for the Seattle Seahawks, which was a lie because I looked it up, and he never did. But I never said anything about it because he would have killed me. And in the end, like 2 months after the season, he shot his wife in the leg with a gun and went to jail. But he used to sit there, and he used to say, he said, if you got a bunch of athletical white guys, you can beat anybody. So everything was athletical to him. So I always say it just as a shout out to him. So there it is. So you got to be athletical. So Baker Mayfield said Wednesday that he has no regrets about calling former coach Hugh Jackson fake. And he basically told everybody to go to hell. And when you look into this, Ian Eagle, who did the game this last week, he talked about a meeting that they had earlier in the year. Him and Dan Fouts. Did you see
Jackson.
That? Yeah, and Dan Fouts.
I read that.
Dan Fouts
Go ahead
asked.
Tell him what he said.
Dan Fouts asked. I would. I don't know. It looked like I was going to say that, but this is the thing. Dan Fouts asked Jackson in a meeting before a game. He asked him, "Well, you've got Baker Mayfield. Why aren't you running more of the stuff he ran at Oklahoma?" And Hugh Jackson responded, "Yeah, great question. I agree." All right, now this is the problem. Hugh Jackson is an idiot. He just flat out is. And Lucas Weiss just said that Mike Goodpaster is a better coach than Hugh Jackson. Mike Goodpaster is a better coach than 90% of the guys in the NFL. But this is not my point. My point is this. He will be regurgitated time in memoriam. He will always have a job in the NFL. He is a pathetic excuse for a man, just like Marvin Lewis is. Because I'll tell you what, you watched Real Knocks, or Hard Knocks with the Cleveland Browns. You saw it. He's soft as butter. You know, he just basically sits there with this stupid look on his face all the time, like he's about to be run over, because he is. I mean, he had a decent year with the Raiders where he went 8-8 and got fired immediately. Then he wins like 3 out of 40 games with the Cleveland Browns, and then he immediately gets a job with the Cincinnati Bengals, which tells you, number one, how pathetic Marvin Lewis and Mike Brown are, how pathetic the Cincinnati Bengals are, and Hugh Jackson is just soft. And he wants to be everybody's friend. Well, you know what? He's clueless. He's soft. He loses.
I don't question guys' manhood based on their coaching ability.
I question him right now.
Not that
I'll
deep.
give him my address, and if he doesn't like me questioning his manhood, he can come to my house and we can see.
I don't want to make personal attacks on anybody because I
didn't make a personal attack. I made an assumption. It's not the same thing.
Here was my take with Hugh Jackson from watching Hard Knocks. He wanted to be everybody's friend, and that's a death knell for any coach. Bob Knight never wanted to be my friend. He didn't want anything to do with me off the court. He only wanted me to do is keep my nose.
You know
clean,
what? I've known you for a couple of years, and I'm starting to see where Coach
grades,
Knight was coming from.
And
but go
keep
ahead.
my butt out of trouble. Other than that, he didn't want to socialize with me, party with me, hang with me. He didn't want to be my friend, and I didn't want to be his friend. And that's the way it's done. That's what wins you championships. Coaches coach, players play. Hugh Jackson gave me the appearance that he wanted to be a player, or he wanted to be in the players' circle. He wanted to hang in the players' locker room.
You know,
Knight only came in our locker room to coach us positively or negatively or go over film. Other than that, he was never in our locker room. This locker room was on the exact opposite side of Assembly Hall. I don't think, in my 4 years in Indiana, I don't think I went in his locker room 3 times. I doubt maybe once a year I got called into his locker room for something. And it was either a specific task for me he wanted me to do on a defensive assignment or something like that in a game that he wanted to talk to me about personally one-on-one, or I was going to get my butt chewed in front of the entire coaching staff and he wanted to do it and not in front of the other teammates because it wasn't going to be pretty. So other than that, I never went in his locker room. He never came to ours. I took Hugh Jackson as a man who wanted to spend his whole coaching career in the players' locker room.
Well, see, the way I take it is this. Guys that are like that, you could be a player's coach. Marty Schottenheimer was a player's coach.
You can't.
Yes, you can. That is absolutely stupid, Steve. You can't say that. I've coached football for 30 years.
Well, define player's coach.
This is the thing.
Player's coach.
We're talking about this. A player's coach is somebody that the player knows cares about them as a person.
Sure.
But they know that there is a line that they can't cross.
Right.
I think from everything I've heard about Bobby Knight, which you've explained to me, he was a player's coach because if you did your job, you were rewarded. If you didn't do your job, you weren't rewarded. It
was brought to your attention.
When your career was over at Indiana,
right?
It's not like Bobby Knight completely ignored you. You know? I mean, if you needed something, or one of his players needed something. Yeah.
Not that means anything. I'm not throwing that out there like I'm. But I have his cell phone number. If I needed him, I could dial a cell phone number and I'd catch crap for about 5 minutes, and then the man would bend over ass backwards to help me.
Yeah, so this is what I think
Hugh
Jackson is. He would do that for
any one of his former players.
I don't think Hugh Jackson is a player's coach. What I think Hugh Jackson is, I think Hugh Jackson is one of these guys, and the guys that are like that, I think are insecure about how good of a coach they are. So what they do to try to keep their job is try to make everybody like them. And in life, the only thing you find out if you try to make everybody happy is that nobody will be happy. And if you try to please all the people all the time, you'll please nobody. And that's what Hugh Jackson does. Hugh Jackson seems like a nice guy. Nice guys do finish last. They just do. I mean, you've got to strap it on sometimes, and you just got to go to work.
Be a coach.
And the thing is this. Hugh Jackson does not do that. You know, you may have a team that, and I had that this year. We had a team that played for a national championship. I don't think we had one good practice all year. And it didn't matter because we had fun. Everybody liked each other. Everybody got along. Everybody would fight for each other. Now, I've also had teams before where every practice was deadly serious, and that team went and played for a championship also. I think the key as a coach, especially nowadays, is to be able to read your team and read what kind of team you have. Because some teams, you got all these guys highly wound that want to go out and just pound somebody. You got teams that are over here having fun with each other, but when you bring another team against them into that situation, they're going to band together and they're going to attack that team. And I think as a coach, you need to understand what kind of team you're coaching, number one. The mentality of that team. It's just like when you coach a football team or a baseball or a basketball team, if you treat everybody the same way, you'll lose. Because everybody has a different personality. Everybody has something different that makes them tick. A great coach can find on each individual guy what makes them tick, what makes them play hard, what will make them at their best, and then he pushes those buttons for each individual player. And in the end, if you do that, all these guys are happy because they think they're being treated fairly, and then you've got everybody doing exactly what they're supposed to do. A lot of coaches that fail are coaches that think, well, I got to treat everybody the same way. So Hugh Jackson's everybody's best friend. Life doesn't work that way. You can't be. If you got 53 guys on your team, there's going to be at least a couple of them you can't stand.
Right.
But in the end,
and in the end, with Baker Mayfield and Hugh Jackson, I look at this. Hugh Jackson was what, 1-31 or something in 2 years there.
3-34-1, and since he's left,
3-34-1, so he got fired, and since he's left, Cleveland's now 2-3.
And they beat.
So they won. They won as many games in 3 games as they won in 3 years.
And they beat
with him gone.
They beat him. I mean,
they beat him again. Wherever he goes,
they beat him.
They didn't beat him. They drubbed him. They didn't just beat him. They drubbed him. So, well, whatever. I mean, my advice to Baker Mayfield is pick your battles. That's not really a battle that he needs to be worried about right now. And I think he kind of alluded to that somewhat in his rebuttal on the article and things like that and reading up about it. But the only thing I'd say to Baker Mayfield is you got bigger fish to fry than Hugh Jackson right now. Let it go. I mean, really, pick your battles. Move forward, get this team going. You've got a chance now. You got momentum going with Cleveland. You get your fans back. Your mojo's coming back. You're getting respect. Don't trash it by taking on Hugh Jackson and singing to his level and going into a pissing match with Hugh Jackson. Baker Mayfield doesn't win in this deal. He doesn't win in the long run.
I'm listening to Let It Be Christmas by Alan Jackson. Yeah. So it's still not as good as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay. What's
or Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle Bell Rock was good, too. I had to sing that. Yeah. I sang Jingle Bell Rock, in the first or second grade at the Christmas, whatever it was, Christmas show.
Yeah, well, Let It Be Christmas is pretty cool.
It was all right, but it's still not Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Reindeer. Yeah, you'll like it. You saying it's all right means you loved it. No, you just don't want to admit it on air. No big deal. We have any sports stuff to talk about today? Because I got to get my wife to the Port Authority.
Make sure she's not on the no sale list, I guess. All right, guys.
Unlike you, who's on the no-fly list.
I'm on every no-fly list known to man because I am batshit crazy. All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up for today. Tomorrow we will be back with Friday Football Frenzy. Lucas Weiss put NASCAR. Lucas, we only talk about legitimate sports on this show. I want to thank everybody that listened today. Tomorrow, Friday Football Frenzy, Anthony Servino will be on here to defend his Dallas Cowboys. And if they lose, me and Steve Risley are going to be all over him. But this game's become more important for me and Steve on a personal level because if the Saints were to lose to the Cowboys, we're going to be attacked viciously tomorrow. So one way or the other.
Deservedly so.
One way or the other. Somebody's going to be attacked viciously on this show tomorrow. Now, if you're politically correct, you may not want to listen. So, remember, you can catch all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts. So, for Steve Risley, who will someday be on Dancing with the Stars, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.